All right, so I've had a lot of talk. I've seen a lot of talk on message boards and had a lot of people ask when they are shopping at our shop, the differences between the grading companies. There's a few out there. There's BGS, PSA. Those are the two that have been around probably the longest, or the most trusted. There's SGC, GMA, which is a small operation, HGA, which is brand new, and they use computers only, not humans, to grade the cards. And then there is CSG, who is new to grading cards, but they've been the authority on like coins and art and different things for a long, long time. So they've already got a trusted name. They're just new to the card game. So with that said, I just figured, you know what? I have all of them. I have all six of those companies, the major ones, if you will. I just wanted to do a quick review of the slabs. I've noticed as I got my first two CSG cards in, I noticed I actually really like their slabs. The labels not so much, but the slabs I like. So just wanted to run down. Here you've got your normal PSA slab, what everyone's used to seeing. It's got the kind of frosted plastic. The card appears right on the front, right on the surface, which is really nice. I really do like the way the card looks in there. I'm a big fan of their label. It's simple. We all know how it looks. And then this is a newer label with the lighthouse technology, the ink in there. So if you were to bust it. So I do like the way their card sits in there. However, they are very flimsy. Like I could crack this right in half if I wanted to. I'm super loyal to PSA. My thing is people keep asking, like, is HGA going to take over? Is SGC going to take over? No, I don't think so. Yeah, the prices are crazy for PSA right now, but people are willing to pay it. And for me, the way, I'm not a very smart guy, but the way I view it is, until the day where I stop typing in a player's name, like, Tom Brady Optic PSA is still in charge. I've never once typed in Tom Brady HGA 9.5, right? It's Tom Brady PSA 10. So in my opinion, they're still the standard. So here's your Beckett. Everyone's used to, we know what the Beckett looks like. They've been this style for a long time, blocky. I do like their tags. They're about twice as thick as PSA. Not twice, maybe. Pretty close to twice as thick as PSA slabs. I know it's going to be out of focus for you, but you can see, right? Quite a bit thicker. With that, of course, the card kind of sits in a little bit. They always put this bag kind of, or like this plastic around the card. I've never been a fan of that, but I will say that their slab itself does feel very, very good. It's rigid, it's tough. And I do like the labels. It's clean. It's very simple. This etched is a nice touch. No other company has like an etched label like that. The Beckett part being etched. The label is very nice and clean. It's got the subgrades on this card. If it's a 9.5, they put the gold label in there, because allegedly a 9.5 is equal to PSA 10. And if it's a pristine card, a very rare black label, of course the label's black. So you can kind of tell right off the bat what the card looks like just from a glance. PSA labels all look the same. You have to zoom in when you're shopping eBay, right? Well, Beckett, you're going to have anything like this is a 9 or less. You have the gold label, which is a 9.5 or higher, and then you've got your black label. I'm not a huge fan of the bag, but I will say the cards do not move around in here. I've had cards move around in almost every other holder except for Beckett. So that is nice. Then you've got SGC. Theirs feels a little bit different than the others. It's also cut a little bit different. They call it the tuxedo. This looks like a black tux. They have the cutouts right here for the card, for the corners. I'm not a huge fan of that, but a lot of people love these slabs. To me, they just look cheap, right? Like this is like not etched, it's stamped, if you will. It just feels cheap, and I hate their labels. Like that looks like an old inkjet printer, right? Like it's very boring to me. There's no color. It's just boring, and it looks like an inkjet printer, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of their label at all. The case feels okay. It's very light, but it feels okay. Corners I'm not a big fan of, but there's a big difference between this and this, right? And it's however your eye catches it. Some people really like this slab. I've heard people say this is their favorite. I will say, I think as far as the actual grading goes, I do think SGC grades harder than a lot. I've sent cards in that I swore would be a 10, like this card, and it's a 9.5. So I do think they grade very hard and very fair. Then you've got GMA. So this is just a small company, but I will say he's going to get a lot more business, now that PSA jacked the prices, because no one's going to send in a $40 card to PSA. You're going to find an alternative. You're going to send it to SGC. HGA has $20 submissions for 60 days, or you're going to go to GMA. GMA just raised their prices. They have a new label, which I do not have yet. I have actually 112 cards there, my lower end stuff. On the way back, they will have the new label. I got them on the old pricing, but he said they'll have the new label. Their case actually doesn't feel terrible, to be honest with you. It's not as sturdy as the Beckett or the SGC, but it feels sturdier than the PSA, to be honest with you. Labels are very clean, very easy to read. Casing has the frosted again. I'm sure they're cheap casings, but it doesn't feel cheap in comparison with the PSA. It does feel cheap compared to the next two we're going to go over. And grading wise, honestly, I think my personal opinion is they used to grade easier, but the last 2 or 3 submissions I've had, it's probably since they've gotten busier during COVID, I've noticed they grade harder. That's a pretty good grade of the 9 on that Jordan I have. But I've noticed them grade a bit harder compared to what I think they used to. It could just be the cards I submitted, but I feel like they grade a little bit harder. Then here you've got a CSG. This is the first CSG I got. I actually really like the slab. And I'm not a huge fan of how big this is. Right? It's like unnecessarily big compared to all the labels, not just the PSA. When you do get subgrades, they do put the subgrades here. Sorry, I don't have an example. But when you get subgrades, they have subgrades that go there. So that helps fill it up. If you use CSG, I would recommend getting the subgrades to help fill that space. Again, the label's nothing special. It does have a little bit of refractor in there, which is nice compared to the other ones. They're the only ones that have that. The case, though, the actual slab itself is very sturdy. I'm not a fan of this. Like it looks like a warehouse barcode. I don't know why. You pay to get a card graded, and then on the back, compared to a PSA, right? You've got this thing looks like a warehouse. Like, okay, did we just scan this thing in for delivery? Is it on a forklift? Like, what's going on with this? But the actual slab is very, very nice. It's put together nice. There's no real ridges in it. The card sits in there nice. Again, it looks like it's towards the front of the casing, same as a PSA. It's very nice casing. And the card doesn't move around. I have a few of these. The cards don't move around in there. I really like the actual plastic, and it's a lot clearer. Like I know they frost these, but it just makes there's a huge difference when you put these two side by side. This is so much clearer, the actual plastic, than this, and it's noticeable. So I actually really like the slab. Label I could do without. So no one's hit it perfect, right? PSA's labels are boring, but they're the standard. Their case is kind of flimsy. BGS's cases are rigid. I don't love the bag inside. Their labels are probably the best so far. SGC labels are terrible, case is okay. GMA labels are okay, easy to read, case is okay. Then you've got HGA. So this is the new kid on the block. It's all computerized. It's supposed to take the human out of it. It's called Hybrid Grading Authority, I think. But basically it's supposed to take the human part out. They grade it by computer first and have a human double check it. Word on the street is PSA is going to go to that. I wouldn't be surprised if others did, when they can afford the technology. I do really like this slab. Again, the plastic is clear, more clear than, say, a PSA slab or even a BGS slab. However, not a huge fan of the labels, which I know everyone loves. I'm not a huge fan of them. You can customize it. You can get, this is team color. You can get one that copies the card, so that would match the card. So that would be like probably gold stars on the top, which would have been cool with this card. You can get a custom one or black one, a bunch of varieties. There's been some American flag ones. So you can go a lot of different directions with your label. I'm not a huge fan of how the card sits in here. So it doesn't have the plastic around it like BGS. But it just sits strange. Like this isn't centered, right? It looks like it's dropped down. It looks like it's sitting on this bar, and it's not quite centered. I'm just not a big fan of it. But overall, the slab's not bad. It looks a little cheap, like in the back here. Like, I don't know what's going on. This could happen to any card, but like my actual label has like something weird going on. And again, that could happen with any, but that shouldn't really be a thing. And then it just looks like it got cut out of like a kid cut it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've got white here on the side of the label. You've got like white peeking out up here when you're looking at it square on. Like there just shouldn't be white spots around my label. Like did a kid cut this out on a sheet of labels? Like what's going on? So not a huge fan of their labels, to be honest with you, but overall the slab feels good. So if we go by just the labels, I look at these a few different ways. The quality of the grading process, I think they've all got their pluses and minuses. HGA, I'm surprised, just emails you when they get the cards, and then they email you when they send them out. That's it. PSA, we know you can track every step. I really like that about PSA. And I'm very loyal to PSA. They have the registry. You can check the pop report. You can register your cards. When you sell them, you can put what you bought it for, what you sold it for, notes to the buyer, all that. I really like that platform. So like PSA gets you on the loyalty part, I think. But as far as the actual slabs go, which is what I wanted to talk about, in my opinion, CSG actually has the best slab. Like the actual plastic is the best, and there's no ridges in it. It's straight. HGA slab actually mirrors theirs a lot, or rather they mirror HGA, I guess. They came out about relatively the same time. I think HGA came out a little bit before CSG for cards, but I really like CSG's slab. It's super sleek, minimal lines. I just don't love the label. You can trust them. I don't know what the prices are going to do over time, but you can trust them as a company because of their previous work in other fields. HGA, who knows? They're very hard to submit. You have to wait in line Thursday and Friday nights for a random spot. You can only submit 5 at a time. The prices are really good, and the turnaround time is legit. What it says is what you get it back in. So that's great about them. And then, SGC I'm not a fan of. If I was to put these in order of just the slab, I would probably honestly go BGS first. As if we're talking about slab and label, I'd probably go BGS first. I'd probably go HGA second because I don't love their label, but it is better than CSG's. I would probably go CSG next if we're just talking about the slab. Then I'd go PSA. Then I'd go SGC and GMA. I actually like GMA maybe just as much as SGC, to be honest with you. But SGC is different, so they get a little bit of an edge, I think. As far as, for me, I still am loyal to PSA. I know they've had their issues, right? They had a card cutting scandal. They knowingly cut cards, and then they were sold online by a huge company. PWCC sold them online knowing that they were cut and trimmed. PSA graded them knowing they were trimmed, pumped out a bunch of 10s, and they were sold. It's a huge scandal. I don't know why no one talks about it. So that's a little hard to believe that PSA didn't get any more blowback than that. But they have a loyal following, kind of like me. They like the process, the registry. So at the end of the day, I buy more PSA than anything. I do really like CSG. Probably will keep that to my personal collection. I have Unitas. I have an Elway. I have a Sanders CSG. BGS overall, still very sturdy, and I love the label, especially with the subgrades. They just feel sturdy compared to the rest. Like I said, you feel like you can snap a PSA right in half. Like it's so flimsy and thin and light. But, I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it for them. So there you go. If I had to rank them, like I said, I would probably go overall BGS. I like HGA overall, only because their label I like more than CSG, but I like CSG's plastic the most out of everybody. And then PSA is right there, probably third or fourth for me. I like their labels. I don't love the plastic at all. They feel like they're behind, to be honest with you. Like this feels like something you would have gotten in 1995 compared to the rest of these, and just the quality of the plastic. And then SGC, I'm not a fan of. I know some people love it. I just hate the label. I'm not a fan of the black plus, and if you get scratches, you can see it on the black. And I'm just not a fan of the black. And the label's terrible. It's an inkjet printer. And then GMA, they're kind of the lower to mid-tier grade, in my opinion. It's smart to send them there instead of somewhere else. It's fine for what it is. The label passes. The plastic's fine. It's around the level of PSA plastic. And there you have it. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM me, reach out. I do have all of them. I have, a variety of the different slabs. It's hard to tell in a video quality, but I just thought I'd give you my opinion because people ask all the time, and I see it posted all over Facebook groups, people asking about the slab. So there you have it. Any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.